Hello, welcome back to the Cricket Nurse podcast, where today I'm Zac, joined by Benj, and we're talking about the IPL final, which lasted 3 days because there was a rained off game, and the second game went to 2 o'clock in the morning Indian time. And Chennai Super Kings won for the fifth time, equaling Mumbai's record. Benj, you must be feeling pretty good at this stage being a CSK fan.
Oh, what a relief. What
Mm.
a relief. I would just that game had everything. It had drama, it had Shupman Gill getting dropped early. And I was like, we've thrown it away. There's no way we're going to win this now. Shupman's not going to give another chance. So then a bit of absolute mastery from Dhoni behind the stumps with that stumping. I've never seen a quicker stumping in my entire life than how quickly Dhoni took the bails off to Shupman Gill. And then the rain break and just the difference there, and the game just going on for so late, and massive props to the crowd at Ahmedabad, who I don't think one person had gone home, and it was 11 o'clock at night, midnight before the game started again. It was awesome. And then to finish in that fairy tale way with that last over with Mohit bowling two really good balls and then two full tosses that should have really have gone. And then finally, Jadeja at the end just hitting that 6 and a 4 to win the game. I mean, it had so many ups and downs, didn't it, that game?
Yeah.
It was just all over the place. I don't really know where to start with talking about the game. Possibly Zac Gujarat's innings, especially Sai Siddharthan.
Yeah, Sai Siddharthan, the way he played, he held that middle order together because this season, I wouldn't say that David Miller and Rahul Tewati have had the season they had last season. Last season they were awesome; they were finishing games, whereas this season they've not been as clinical, and it's required someone like Sai Siddharthan holding that middle order together if someone like Shubman Gill doesn't work, and that's kind of how you win these big games and get through to the final is by relying not just on one or two players, but having your whole batting lineup be in sync. And Sai Siddharthan, the way he played, he just took apart Chennai's attack. Tushar Deshpande, who's one of the top wicket takers in this tournament, was going the distance. Theekshana hasn't had a great season, but was also struggling a bit. And it was interesting that they sent Rashid Khan in ahead of David Miller to kind of finish the game off. He's obviously been Gujarat's go-to finisher, but he didn't do very well. But Hardik Pandya finished it off well as the captain. So 214 for 4 at the halfway stage. As a neutral, I was thinking that's a match-winning score. I was thinking that's going to be really tricky for Chennai to chase. And then when it came to them needing 171 or 15, I was thinking that's kind of brought the game back into the balance a little bit because there's less time. So you've got more chances to take risks, etc. I don't know what your thoughts were at that halfway stage.
I think for me, it was because it was reduced to 15 overs, it meant that there are a few things that happened. You had 3 overs per bowler was the main thing, which meant that it just reduced that middle over period of where you've got the likes of Noor Ahmed, Josh Little, and Rashid Khan, who were they just stemmed the flow of runs really well. I think Noor Ahmed bowled fantastically. Josh Little got a little bit of tap here and there, and as did Rashid Khan. I think actually Chennai took it to Rashid, and we're using him as the guy that they wanted to hit out against. And I think the way that Conway and Gaikwad went about that chase was perfect. Like, they weren't really holding back. It was good that it was a Conway innings where he was in can't get out mode and smashing it all over the place. What I did find was a bit alarming was when Gaikwad went, it didn't look like Shivam Dubey was really striking it at the start. He didn't seem to be able to get it off the square very much. And that was quite a concern because he was sent in to, do hit from ball one. That's why he went in above Marinelli. He went in to hit from ball one just to smash it around against the two leg spinners. And just to see how that was working. But yeah, he just didn't look very comfortable. But that decision obviously did pay off a bit later. The unsung heroes for me though were Ajinkya Rahane and Ambati Raidu.
Oh yeah.
I think Ajinkya Rahane, I think he hit 2 sixes in his first over off Josh Little, which was just exactly what was needed to just inject a bit of impetus back into that chase. And then I think it was a couple of overs later, he then paddle swept those two balls for four that Rashid Khan bowled, where it was a bit leg side, and I think that really opened the game up again. And then the game was sort of quieting down a little bit, and then Dubé comes in against Rashid Khan and manages to hit 2 sixes in the last two balls. So it's like Rashid Khan had like four really good balls, and his last two balls were just targeted by the Chennai batters, and put away for boundaries, and that really just changed the face of the game. What did you think I think it was the 12th over where it was quite it was getting quite close, and then Ambati Raidu just strides out and hits a six.
That was
4 and a 6.
It was insane. That Chennai were basically out of the game, and I think there were a period of 5 deliveries where 4 of them were 6 and 1 of them was at 4, and that completely changed the momentum. It put it back in Chennai's favour. But then Ambati Raidu got out in the 13th over. MS Dhoni went for a first baller. So Mohit Sharma bowling that 13th over, for me, that was his best over. That was a really good performance from him. He got rid of Dhoni, which silenced the majority of the Ahmedabad crowd. Obviously, there are a few Gujarat
Chennai
supporters
fans.
there. Yeah, the Chennai fans.
Actually, it's the first time I've heard a cheer all season when Dhoni's got out.
Yeah, and then Ambati Raidu as well. That was a really good quarter bowled from Mohit Sharma. So that kind of swung the momentum back in Gujarat's favour. But they needed 22 off the last 2 overs, which is you'd back the batting side to win it. But it was just good bowling, really, from Mohammad Shami and Mohit Sharma to kind of close it off until those last 2 deliveries. Because when you need 10 off 2, you back the bowling side. But yeah, what was Hardik Pandya doing, sending on someone to carry a drink to Mohit Sharma, trying to slow the game down? Surely at that point in time, the team that's on top with the momentum, you just want to keep going.
So as a bowler, I'd have thought the best thing that you want to do is just be in your zone and focus on hitting that spot. The fact that Mohit had that, break in play where Hardik brought that man on to have a drink to try and slow the game down, I think that's not really the right thing to do, because that allows the batter to reset. If you're just constantly putting it in that right spot, hitting that Yorker, then the batsman is just going to be, rushed through, not able to play the shots that they want to. And actually, what happened is, when that happened, is the 5th ball of the over, Mohit missed his length a bit, and it was a touch short, and it was just able to be smashed over. And then the second ball, he bowled a rank delivery down leg side, no fine leg, because Hardik was protecting the wide boundaries and straight, because he was, playing for that straight Yorker. So why would you have a fine leg?
Exactly.
And he was just able to sweep it around the corner and get that win.
Thoughts are, as a CSK fan watching Chennai in that situation, yes, it's nerve-wracking because you want your team to win. But if Chennai have lost, would it have been the worst thing in the world, given you've won 4 times previous?
Yeah. You want to win every year.
Well, that's fair enough, yeah.
And Chennai haven't really been, they've been in and around it the last couple of years, but you wouldn't, especially last year, you wouldn't have put them in anywhere near the top 4. I think just Chennai coming back and being able to, I think the thing that Chennai did really well this year was everything started a bit confusing. So the 11 wasn't really secure. Ben Stokes was in there. We weren't really sure what Ben Stokes was doing, what his role was, if he could bowl. Sasanda Magala was in, got injured. It was very much all over the place at the start of the season. And it was only sort of the back half where the 11 was defined. Everyone had their defined roles. The middle order, Dubé, Rahane, and Rayadu, all of them had the same message: go out and hit. And if Moeen was needed, he would go in and he would try and play a bit of a longer innings. And then you had the finishers in Dhoni and Jadeja who had their role, and that was just pretty much the story the whole way through the season. And as soon as Chennai were able to find that, and the management and the coaches, and I think it's a shout out to Stephen Fleming, just being able to put that structure in place. I think that's the difference between Chennai and quite a lot of teams this season. Yeah, I'm really glad that we won. It was such a relief. And yeah, I'd have been gutted if we'd have lost to Gujarat in the final, because I think that's the only team that I like. I mean, Mumbai are the worst, and then I think Gujarat are the second worst.
Fair enough. I think one thing we can talk about when it comes to these two teams is their batting has a very strong Indian core. Like when you look at Mumbai when they were dominant a few seasons ago, yes, they had Kyron Pollard and whoever else, but their batting strength was in their Indian players. Quinton de Kock, that's the other name. They had Ishan Kishan, Rohit Sharma, who are still going. I take that. But they also had the both Pandya brothers, who were finishers and did incredibly well for them. Yeah. And that kind of meant that their team was very strong. And Sky, right? We can't forget Sky. So their team was very strong and very reliant on their Indian players. And when we look at Gujarat, they don't have any overseas players in their top four. And if Vijay Shankar bats 5, that's top 5. David Miller's their first overseas batsman. And when you look at Chennai, except for Devon Conway, you look at 1 through to Ravi Jadeja, all Indian except for Devon Conway. And I think that kind of helps things because it means that you can give your overseas option. You're not relying on your overseas options, which is probably what a team like RCB, for example, they're relying on their overseas options. So they've got a very strong Indian core, and I think that helps. But what's impressed you most about CSK this season? What has it been about CSK season that you've been like, yes, that's why we've been able to take it all the way and win?
I think it's the fight back. I think CSK started off that they won a couple of games, looked strong, and then just had a period where everything wasn't quite working. You know, the combination of Akash Singh and Deshpande at the start just wasn't really working. It was really Deepak Chahar, just you can see how much of a difference he makes to that Chennai side with his power play overs. And I think, yeah, it's just some players standing up and being counted. I think Ambati Rayudu and Ajinkya Rahane both reinvented themselves this IPL. It's going to be interesting how Chennai fit that Ambati Rayudu size hole next year, how they fill that.
Yeah.
Dubé really coming into his own and being that just power hitter, coming out, not just, he's got the weirdest technique where he just puts his feet in concrete, swings from the hip, but he's got long arms and it just goes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, just that ability to just have, you know, a set plan. Everyone knows what their role is. I think that was the thing that really turned it around for Chennai this season. I would say, for me, the real positive, the most positive point was Patirana. I think he had an incredible season. I think his death bowling, his such a hope for the future, and seeing him in the Sri Lanka side in the future is going to be really, really scary. How did you think Gujarat did this season? What was your overall view of their season? Because they were just dominant, weren't they?
Yeah, they had a very good season. They made winning a habit. That's kind of like their catchphrase at the moment that Hardik Pandya's trying to get. And I think part of the reason why they've had such a good season and why they won last season as well is because they give their young players or their Indian players that ability to be really confident. And I think that comes from having two things. One is a really strong opening partnership. So you see it with Sahar and Gill. They played really well this tournament, scored a lot of runs. Gill especially was in incredible form. And then also you look at their finishers. They've got 3 finishers in that team. You've got Rahul Tewatia, David Miller, and Rashid Khan. And all it takes is one of those to win you the game. That's it. And I think when you've got that, it means that the rest of the team, like Vijay Shankar, Abhinav Manohar, Sai Siddharthan, who played incredibly well in that final, they have the freedom to just go out and express themselves. And I don't think many other IPL teams have that setup to allow their young players to thrive. And that's what they've managed to do. So, and also on top of that amazing batting, they have the top 3 wicket takers in the tournament in Shami Sharma and Rashid Khan. So that aside, bowlers win your tournaments. Not this time, Gujarat, unfortunately. But it was very close. But yeah, I think that they've had a very good season, a very strong season. But one thing they could work on is, well, I don't think it's something they can work on really. It's more Hardik Pandya. Is he going to be able to bowl moving forward? Because as soon as he bowls, it changes the balance. I know he didn't bowl that well in the final, but he's still, I think, recovering from injury a little bit. If he can bowl, that balance of that side just it takes it to the next level. And also the other thing is how can they fit? Who's their 4th overseas slot? Is it Josh Little, or is there someone else they can think about? But other than that, I think they've got a very, very strong team and had a very strong season. My one thing just for Chennai is Moeen Ali. We love Moeen Ali. He's had a very quiet season.
Yes.
He's not really been needed with the bat. When he's had the ball in hand, occasionally he's been used and he's been okay. But what do you think they can do with Moeen Ali moving forward?
It's very hard to say. I don't really know what we're going to do with Moeen Ali. I think it would be interesting to see if he's retained in the next auction. Because I know he's been a bit of a Chennai legend for a bit, but with Ben Stokes in there, I think what Moeen brings is he brings that ability to hit from ball 1, that power hitting, and he's that utility player, isn't he, where he can bat anywhere in the batting order that he's needed.
Yeah.
And he can bowl handy overs. He can bowl handy overs in the power play. He can bowl handy overs at any point during the game. So I think he's just that utility player, and he has been used to good effect. He's just hasn't been needed a lot of the time because the rest of the team have performed so well. If you look at last year, CSK were in absolute state because Gaikwad and Conway weren't performing with the bat at the top of the innings. So a lot of the time, Moeen was in very early and was having to play a long innings and pace it. And I think he was one of the better batters last year for CSK.
Yeah, definitely.
I just think he wasn't needed as much this year. We saw a bit more bowling from him, especially when Theekshana didn't have the best of games. I think he's had a bit of a poor IPL, Theekshana has, to be honest. It'll be interesting to see if he's retained. I'm actually gutted for Mitch Santner because I think Mitch Santner had a really good start to the season, and it will be interesting to see if he actually wants to go on, or rather than just being a drinks carrier again.
Yeah.
But yeah, what an IPL. Just one last thing about Gujarat is that I'm really excited about is that Gujarat have just got such stars in the making. I think Shubman Gill, he's obviously going to be the next big thing. But players like Sai Siddharthan, I could expect to see him as a, first team India player in 5-10 years' time, batting test match. He could come in and replace the wall potentially when Pujara retires. Like, I think it's just the awesome thing about the IPL this year is it's looking at these next stars and it's bringing that hope for the future. And there's loads of great players that are coming on. I mean, Tushar Deshpande, even though he was a bit expensive, I think he still took wickets. So and that was really what he was used for. But yeah, it's going to be. It's been a great IPL, one of the better IPLs that I've seen. It's had ups and downs the whole way through. It's been interesting till the very, very end. And yeah, the last match was a thriller that came down to the last ball. So can't really complain for anything else.
Not at all.
Bring on next year.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to do like a little overall IPL review at some point when James is back. He's currently away. So when James is back and we've got all the nerds together, we'll do some overview of the IPL. And then it's the Ashes. That's coming up. So
Yes.
and the World Test Championship final. So there's lots to look forward to. So continue to support us. We're so grateful for all the support we're getting. It's really great to see, and we do appreciate it a lot. So make sure you continue to like our videos, share them with your friends, follow us on social media. All the links are in the link tree in the description. Comment, leave us your CNQs. If we've got any, we'll tackle those in the next podcast. But it's been great to talk to you today, and we'll see you later.